1930 that you are the chosen people of God. You got to understand that those people, when God came and got them and told them to get up and leave old Pharaoh, they didn't have anything, did they? Did they have an army? Did they have a military? Did they have a navy?
There were 4 major marches on Washington. Did you receive reparations?
You need to be able to turn the lights on and the money that's generated from the lights going to our pockets.
Yes, sir.
Black power.
You need to be able to have a gas station.
James Brown said, oh, say it now.
I'm sure you're aware of the issue of reparations for blacks in America. How do you feel about that issue? Do you think that blacks in America deserve to receive reparations? And if so, what would your reasons be?
I think, yes, reparations would be a good thing because many people don't realize that slavery, even though it happened over 140 years ago, the impact still lasts to today. It wasn't like after slavery ended, everything was fine and dandy for slavery, for black people. There was Jim Crow laws and segregation. There's still institutionalized racism, and black people are still at a disadvantage. A lot of the poverty line, I feel like reparations would make up for a lot of the. Yes.
May I have your attention, Chicago, Illinois? Get ready for the National Reparation Tour. Sunday, November 22nd, 2015, at the Alhambra Palace, 1240 West Randolph Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60607. Doors open at 1 p.m. Subject, reparations. A special message for President Obama, Congress, and black people in America.
Yesterday we were in Gary, Indiana, and it was a blizzard. It was a blizzard on the way to the event, and I would imagine that deterred. I would imagine that deterred some of our guests. So today, I put in a special order and got you some sunshine. So we have no excuses as far as the weather is concerned. The Afro-descendant government has been formulated for black people in the United States of America and throughout the slavery diaspora. We have marched as a nation of people up to your exodus. In order for black people in America to receive reparations, we have to be formulated into a government. Now, I know there was some talk about individuals going to the United Nations, but the United Nations does not recognize you as an individual. You either have a government or non-governmental organization. And I'm just giving you a brief synopsis as what is to transpire here shortly. We have our brother, Senator Najee Muhammad, all the way from Washington. And the brother has been touring and traveling across the United States. And when I heard that we were going to have him here in Chicago, I said to him, brother, I got to feed you. He said, no, brother, you got to come here and teach, and you may not be able to stay for dinner. I said, well, even if we got to cut the message short, we got to feed you. Right? We owe him that, at least dinner. So immediately following the meeting, there is to be a buffet-style dinner. If you wanted to stay for the dinner, it's approximately $45. Those excluded in the dinner would be senators, those are part of the executive branch, and the Congress.
I am the vice president of the Afro-descendant nation, not the Lost Foundation of Islam. The Lost Foundation of Islam is totally different from the Afro-descendant nation. The Afro-descendant nation has no religion based. It is a nation that is going to encompass all black people in all religions. So I am the vice president of the Afro-Descendant Nation, not the Lost Foundation of Islam. We do have executive members here. We do have Congress here. And I just want to let you know that we are definitely fighting for you, black men and black women. We love you. We are interested in your deliverance out of this beast's hand. And when I say that, I say it with conviction because we are dealing with so many atrocities that are going on throughout the United States of America. And not just Chicago alone, throughout the United States of America. And I crave that we embrace our differences, that we embrace the fact that we are working toward building something for your children. This is for your children. Just like the white man established the United States of America, we are establishing a government for you and your children. So when you decide, and it's a decision, because it's difficult to uproot yourself from something that you've already been accustomed to. You're accustomed to getting up and that light coming on and the water running and you're able to go to a job. But to step out and accept your government and uproot yourself is an awesome task. So it's something to really think about. But I really want you to know that we're working on behalf of you. Don't consider it to be a Muslim thing. It's not a Muslim thing. It's a black thing for black people. Everywhere. Throughout the slavery diaspora, there's 250 million of us that are struggling with our identity. And with that identity lost, we have now come up with one. And Mr. Muhammad went to the United Nations and gave us an identity. So now we have an identity. We are Afro-descendants. You may not accept it now, but as you understand it, as you go in life, you will realize that you are lost from your mother tongue. You are lost from your culture. You are lost from your religion. Stateless. And you do need somewhere where you can call your own. You need a land that you can call your own. You need to be able to turn the lights on and the money that's generated from the lights go in one of our pockets. You need to be able to have a gas station and people come into that gas station and that money goes to one of your children or a couple of children that have created a company for you, black people. We have to develop our government, and it takes every last one of us, every last religious person, every last organization, every black human being. This is yours. It's not a Muslim thing. Remember that. It's not a Muslim thing. It's not a religious thing. It's a black thing for black people everywhere. So I just want to welcome you. Open your ears up. Have an opinion, but listen, and listen with understanding. If you don't have understanding, we're here to give you understanding. Just know that we are fighting for you, because we love you. Know that we love you. So I just want to welcome you again to the National Reparation Tour that came to Chicago today, November the 22nd.
Some of us are not aware of the things that's transpiring because, as it was stated before, the revolution will not be televised. So there has been monumentous progress in your behalf. But they're not going to tell you the congressmen of the United States of America, the senators of the United States of America. They all work for the United States of America. During the presidential debate, when Barack Obama was running for president, there was a gentleman by the name of Anderson Cooper. And Anderson Cooper was questioning the panelists, and he asked them, who on the panel is for reparations? Now, most of the people believing that Barack Obama being a black man, he would raise his hand and say that he was for reparations. So he kind of sort of sidestepped the question and then said the kind of reparations that we need here is education. So Anderson Cooper then stopped playing around and kind of sort of cleaned the tail and done. And then said, I want to know of the panelists, which ones of you are for reparations for black people in the United States of America? The only one that answered favorably, and this will surprise you, for you was a Caucasian gentleman by the name of Dennis Kucinich. He said, and this is him talking, he said, the Bible says that the breach has been made and we have to be repairers of the breach. So yes, I am for reparations. Now, reparations for us, black people in America, full and complete reparations for us, will put you in a position to where your children's children's children will have a better future than you. That's right. Full and complete reparations. For us, the Jews are the archetype of reparations. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do anything special. Just do for us what you did for the Jews. What did they do for the Jews? The Jews received reparation, restitution, and indemnification. We want the same thing. An article here says, bound to pressure in September 1945, shortly after the end of the Second World War, Jewish leader Charles Wiseman submitted a memorandum on behalf of the Jewish government to the United States. And it was the United States, the Soviet Union, Great Britain, and France that demanded, in the words of the Encyclopedia Judea, reparations, restitution, and indemnification. Due to the Jewish people from Germany, the Western Allies lost no time in responding favorably to Wiseman's demand. Now, did you hear that? The Western Allies, where are you at?
In the what?
You're right here in the West. It gets a bit more specific. It says, the American government was particularly eager to have Germany pay up. The American government was particularly eager to have Germany to pay up. I'm just letting you know that they know. Because I was invited to a radio show, and on the radio show, one of the brothers said, we need to teach the senators and the congressmen so they can go forward to the rest of the government and let them know, explain to them what reparations is. You don't have to explain to them what reparations is. They created it for the Jews. Understand that. So, yesterday at the meeting, there was a smaller turnout than you are here now. And while the brother senator was speaking, the few that was out there, the sister, she chuckled, she laughed a little bit. And when she chuckled and laughed, it wasn't a laughable moment. After the fact, my brother, senator, trying my best not to say minister, my brother, Senator Najee Muhammad, would conclude the meeting, and I'm reading his face. And you know, sometimes non-verbal communication is more powerful than verbal communication. And I thought about a lecture that I would like to give. I don't know, maybe when Savior's Day we still here in the United States of America, called God's Gonna Make You Laugh. Yeah. I'll elaborate on that just a little bit later. But we do have with us the first president in the history of the Lost Foundation of Islam, Senator Ajani Mukaram, and we're going to ask him to come forward and give you a few words of encouragement. Please have him come forward.
You can go back to that time when you played in a field, speaking a language today that would sound strange to you. You spoke a language then that was called your mother tongue. And then you hear the shot. You see this pale face that you've never seen before. You see your brother drop to the ground. You see a slash of a whip. You see chains come out. And you run for your life. You're nervous, you're afraid, you run. But you're captured. You're placed on this vessel called Jesus, a ship. It's not to float to America for the American dream. It's to come to America to endure slavery, chattel slavery. And while you're stacked one on top of the other, sailing across the Atlantic Ocean, if you had to go, you went on yourself, or on your brother, or on your sister that was chained next to you. Some of you died. You didn't make the journey. You didn't get a proper burial. They threw you overboard. You were just a piece of meat to them. They had no regards to who you were as a person. You prayed, take me back home. You prayed, why am I riding on this ship, hearing the strange language, looking at this pasty-faced man? You land. You're separated from the one you could communicate with in your own language. You're put with others that look like you but speak a different language. You are now slave. It's real to me. Yes, sir. You owe it to yourself in your former life to do something about your sojourn in America. You didn't come here for the American dream. You came here to build the American dream for another. And you've done it. And you deserve payment for your labor. You deserve this reparation. It is due you. Mr. Muhammad asked me years ago, would you go and put before the platform that I want my people to be considered the lost found peoples? I went. When I told the people there, the audience, looking like you, brothers and sisters, that Mr. Muhammad thought we should be called lost found peoples, a sister told me, brother, I'm not lost. What do you mean I should be called a lost found peoples? I tried my best to explain that you were lost from Uganda, that you were lost from Ethiopia, that you were lost from Nigeria, that you don't know where you came from. You can't even muster a syllable of the language you used to speak, call your mother tongue. That Kunta Kinte said Allah. They said no more Allah in America. They said it's Jesus. They said no more name Kunta Kinte. You'll be known as Toby. They killed the identity of Kunta Kinte. They killed the identity of his religion, killed the identity of his original culture. And today you're lost, stuck inside of America, worshiping his religion, practicing his holidays. Old St. Nick, you didn't invent. Here come Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail. You didn't invent that. The tooth fairy is not yours. But you go by it because really you have an identity crisis.
No, yes, sir.
What do I mean you have an identity crisis? See, after slavery and during slavery, he called you nigger. Outright. Today, he makes it taboo to use the word nigger. He says it's the N-word. Well, you used it freely back then, white man. You used it so freely that we took it to call ourselves, that's my nigger. Didn't we? And don't we?
That's right.
Then we got to a point where we said, we don't want to be niggers. We're Negroes. Carter G. Woodson had a Negro History Week. He said, he wrote a book, The Miseducation of the Negro. Shortly after that, you became colored. You have an organization that represents your colored days. the NAACP, the National Alliance for the Advancement of who?
Colored people.
Colored people. Who were colored? You were niggas, you were Negroes, you became colored. Then came this rise in the United States of America by this little black man who had been influenced by a brother from the East. It was called the Nation of Islam. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, you're the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. You started getting a fever. You started getting an energy. James Brown said, oh, say it now.
I'm black and I'm proud.
I'm black and I'm proud. We stood on the Olympic Stadium after winning the gold medal. We didn't do this. We stood like this.
Yes, sir.
Black power. Then came the Black Panthers. Where did they come from? It was a movement going on in America, a re-energize of a people. The white man saw that energy. Today he calls you African American. You didn't come up with that. That's his thing. He's savvy. He's a strategist. He not only calls you African American, he calls the Mexican what? Mexican American. Doesn't he?
Yes, sir.
He calls the Koreans that come here Korean Americans. He calls the Chinese Americans. Huh? He's savvy. So the people, they wouldn't accept this concept when I was trying to tell them what Mr. Muhammad about a lost found people. But how many times have Chinese been other than Chinese? How many times have Koreans been other than Koreans? How many times have my brothers in Africa who didn't get captured been other than an Ethiopian, other than a Ugandan, other than a Nigerian? But you've been nigger, you've been Negro, you've been colored, you've been black, and today you're the African American. Is that an identity crisis?
Yes, sir.
Are you lost?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And not even aware that you're lost? You're so far gone, you ain't even aware that you're gone. You are nothing people, a stateless people. When I was in Santiago, Chile, I heard this term Afro-descendant. I didn't understand it, but the Brazilian brothers that were there were calling themselves that. The brothers and sisters from Colombia. You think of it just a drug cartel. No, we are there in Colombia. They were calling themselves Afro-descendants. The black Ecuadorians in Ecuador were calling themselves Afro-descendant. And I quite didn't understand it. At the time, we were calling ourselves African Americans. And I told Mr. Muhammad, and he said, you didn't tell me that back then. He said, but when I went to the meeting and met these brothers from Barbados, met these sisters from Jamaica, met these folks from the Bahamas, they were all using the term Afro-descendant. He said, I'm going to acquiesce. I'm going to let go of the name lost found people and pick up the term Afro-descendant. But I just don't want to pick it up. I want to give definition to it so that it means something. Definition. Afro-descendant refers to people who, one, were forcibly dispossessed of their homeland, Africa.
Yes, sir.
Brother, you look African. I don't know if you are now, but you look African. You look a little bit different. I can see the similarities, but you look a little bit different than I do. I was captured from Africa. Everyone in this room, we were captured from Africa. And we were forcibly dispossessed of our homeland, Africa, and brought to the Americans. Number two, Afro-descendants refers to people who were transported to the Americas and the slavery diaspora for the purpose of enslavement. It wasn't a joyride.
That's right.
It was for the purpose of building America for white people. Number three, Afro-descendant refers to people who were subjected to slavery. Some of us didn't get subjected to slavery. We had enough courage. We slipped out of those chains. We took over the ship. We crash landed. We held on to some of our African culture. We held on to the language. Not all people in America lost it all. But they were on that ship for the purposes of slavery, whether they took it over or not. Number 4, Afro-descendant refers to people who were subjected to forced mixed breeding and rape. We look different today. We come in colors from vanilla to dark chocolate.
That's right.
They mixed with us, forced us. Although we were too ugly for them, they took us and raped our mothers, raped our grandmothers. Their white women, they would sneak into the slave quarters and touch a brother who was tall and handsome and good looking and say, "Come with me."
Right.
Not only did the men rape our women, the women raped our men. So we were subjected to forced mixed breeding and rape. Number 5, Afro-descendant refers to a people who have experienced through force the loss of our original language, our culture, and our religion. To lose your language, culture, and religion makes you a stateless people, makes you a nothingness people.
Right.
Don't you hear Mexicans, when they don't want to hide something from you, they switch to Spanish?
Yes, sir.
Don't you hear Chinese, when they want to hide something from you, they switch to Chinese?
Yes, sir.
Don't you hear our brothers who come from Africa, when they don't want you to know what they're talking about, they switch to their African language, the mother tongue?
Yes, sir.
I long for it. I wish I knew what it was. It was severed from me, taken from me during plantation stuff. They owe us for that. That's a crime that has no statute of limitations. Number 6, Afro-descendants refers to people who have experienced racial discrimination due to lost ties from their original identity or partial lost ties from their original identity. And lastly, Afro-descendant refers to a people who are now experiencing, a new word for you, ethnogenesis. Ethnogenesis is a UN word, a United Nations term that means the rebirth of a people.
Yes, sir.
We don't want to be white anymore, brother. We want to reach back to our blackness. So since you're used to changing names, you've been nigger, you've been Negro, you've been colored, you've been black, you've been African Americans, I ask you to accept your UN-defined name, Afro-descendant, because it has a meaning. It ties you to the 250 million other black people lost throughout the slavery diaspora. It's like the term indigenous people, a people who were in the land before the government formed. You have them in Australia, right? Indigenous people. The people that were indigenous to this land were the Native Americans, the Indians, right? They were called indigenous people for a reason. Before American government became America, they were here. Well, you can't use that term indigenous people in the UN, but you can use the term Afro-descendant. I ask that you take it, embrace it, learn the definition of it, and start your journey back to what? Nationhood. I leave you as I greet you. Hopefully I've done what you asked me to do, Chief,
Yes, sir.
Senator,
Yes, sir.
my brother.
Yes, sir.
Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I'd like to give you some information that you need to have and understand what it is that we're doing. We have waged political warfare on the United States of America, Great Britain, and all other European countries that has made you slaves. You have to understand your political position as black people. You don't have the same political position as white people in America, though you may believe that. There was a question that was asked by the slave to his slave master, when the slave master said that he was a brother and that he was a friend. And the slave would ask the slave master, am I not a brother? Am I not a friend? And the reply from the slave master to the slave is, yes, but you are less a brother and you are less a friend. In the Constitution of the United States of America, you're considered 3/5 of a person.
Right.
And what does that mean? 60% of you, they consider as being human beings. And the other 40% is what? Animal. I mean, whatever type of term you can use to describe it, the United States of America government says that you are not human beings. Then in order to solidify their claim, there's a letter called the William Berry letter. It says, we have closed every avenue through by which light may enter into the slave's mind. We have but one step to go, and it will be on the same level as the beast in the field. So looking at the black community now, ask yourself the question, did they succeed? You would have to say yes. Not only did they succeed in turning you into subhuman, as they would call it, but they totally killed us. Is that right? You were so thoroughly killed, the United Nations said the term is called ethnogenesis, rebirth of a nation. Whoever you were, whatever you were, it has been totally deracinated. You can give up all hopes of ever reconnecting to that. And then you have some black people that say, well, I went and I did a DNA test, and according to my DNA, Abraham Lincoln, no. According to your DNA, Abraham Lincoln raped your great-great-great-grandmother.
Right.
That's what happened. He's not young. So we have those of us who can hear the call. As I look across the room, most of us here are prepared for what comes next. This is political warfare. It is war, make no mistake about it. Political warfare, here's the definition. Political warfare is the use of political means to compel an opponent to do one's will, based on hostile intent. The term political describes a calculated interaction between one's government. Did you hear that? The calculated interaction between one's government and the target audience to include another country's government, military, and or general population. Governments use a variety of techniques to coerce certain actions, thereby gaining relative advantage over an opponent. The techniques include propaganda and psychological operations. Why am I telling you this? Because all of this is being used on you.
That's right.
All of it is being used on you. Propaganda, psychological operations. You don't deserve reparations. In fact, you're not even going to get reparations. Y'all got to be out your mind. Well, why would the United States of America pay you all? How you going to make them pay reparations? They also told you when it came down to you receiving reparations, oh, well, I did you a favor. Because if you look at the blacks that's in Africa now, they're still living in huts and don't have running water and don't have paved roads, versus the life that you have, I helped you. There's a term for that. That's called an ideological construct, where you turn on the victim and make the victim believe that either you helped them or it's their fault that what happened to them happened to them. All of this is being enacted on us. We were at a reparations event. Madam Vice President, where were we at again? The University of Chicago?
Yes, sir.
And at that so-called reparations event, not one person on that panel was representing you. Not one, but it was a reparations event. The people came with nothing, and they left with nothing. Here, if you did come with something, you're going to leave with more. If you did come with nothing, you're going to leave with something, but you will not leave it behind.
That's right.
We will give you information where you can make an informed decision. You want to chase this information. You don't want us to just tell you about black people struggle, black people suffering, and then go back home. You know the problem, right? You're here for what? the solution. At the event on yesterday. First, I just want to bring you up to speed that this is war. We are engaged in war right now. And this is a part of your psychological war. On yesterday, when my brother Senator Najee Muhammad was speaking, I mentioned that sister in the audience laughed, and it wasn't a laughable moment. And as I was sitting back observing the room, I could only think and wonder, well, what is she laughing at? What was funny? And the thing that came clear to me is that she was laughing at the fact that you're talking about going against the most powerful government on earth. And I look out and I see 4 or 5 of them. So today I am Senator Ahmed Sadiq. Okay, I wear another hat as Minister Ahmed Sadiq. All right. Now, me being aware that I am engaged in battle, engaged in a fight, I can't help but to, and I might get a spanking for this, but I'm gonna take off my glasses. I'm gonna sit them right here on the side. And I'm gonna take my senator hat. Y'all look kind of blurry, now my eyes are just, but I don't need these eyes to see. I got another pair of eyes that's looking at you. I'm gonna sit my senator hat on the side, just for a minute, and I'm gonna put on my minister. Because that's what I observed, not as a senator yesterday, but as a warrior of the Lost Foundation of Islam. That's one of the elect. That's one of the chosen 144,000. Sister laughed, and I was reminded about the part in the Bible where God was talking to Abraham, and Sarah overheard God, and she laughed. She said, he got to be out of his mind. Here I am, 90 years old. Here Abraham is 100 years old, and we're going to have a child. God going to make you laugh. And it's a peculiar thing that God always show up at that time in your life when you believe you can't do nothing. He showed up to Moses and told Moses, I want you to go and fight the greatest army in the land. And then turned around and gave Moses a stick.
Yes, sir.
That's a laughable moment, isn't it? You tell us July 4th, 1930, that you are the chosen people of God. So you got to walk with that. You got to understand that those people, when God came and got them and told them to get up and leave old Pharaoh, they didn't have anything, did they? Did they have an army? Did they have a military? Did they have a navy? And you were in the same position. This might be a laughable moment for you. How those 2 or 3 shiny-faced men going to set the United States of America down? We're not walking by our situation. We didn't care if 1 showed up. We didn't care if 100 showed up. It'll be recorded. Heaven and earth will record it. That your time has come. Whether you accept it or reject it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that if you don't accept it, it'll be something that you can never blot out of your future history. That means that there's a choice. There's a contract. Your God came to you July 4th, 1930. Raised up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad spent 40 plus years getting this information to you. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been spending 39 years getting this information to you. Now you're about at the end of it. You're about to run out of time. Your communities have become killing fields. What does the scripture says? It says, my people perish for lack of knowledge, and because they reject knowledge. Is that right? And because you have forgotten me, I will forget your children. Now, who do you see getting into the black community right now? It's your children, isn't it? That's right. I'm reminded of a quote that I heard. They said, in times of peace, the son buries the father. But in times of war, the father buried the son. Now, you tell me what's going on in your community right now. Is the father burying the son, or is the son burying the father? You tell me. I stay around you. I'm just like a transformer, hiding in plain sight. Sometimes when they're doing your sidewalk, sometimes when they're cleaning up your snow, sometimes I'm talking to you in the gym. Here to give you information that you need. you have come to the time as black people to where you gotta make a decision. So, as I prepare to bring forward our brother, your brother, Senator of the Afro-descendant government, Najee Muhammad. Listen to him. Ask him questions. Don't leave here and ask your friend that you rode with, I ain't understand. Well, now ask him, he knows. And he'll tell you. Please help me welcome Senator Najee Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. But I want to share some information with you. Today, the title of my lecture is Common Sense Appeal to Unite. A common sense appeal to unite. In the 19th century, the struggle was for freedom. In the 20th century, the struggle was for civil rights. Now in the 21st century, the struggle is for reparations. We want reparations or we will perish in the attempt. We shall receive reparations or we will perish in the attempt. Right. We shall be victorious. Victory shall be ours in the end. Have you ever wondered why the slaves and their descendants, you and I, never received reparations? People that received reparations had a government backing them. Where's your government, black man? Surely it's not the United States government. Where is your government? You want reparations. You have reparations activists who've been fighting for reparations, but we ask those advocates, where is your government? Because the only way you will receive reparations is through a government. And I say to you that I have come to, not Washington, I'm about to say Washington, Chicago, to spread the gospel, the good news. I want to let the world know that the Afro-descendant government has been established and it's for you. And this government, sooner or later, is going to deal with the United States government. And what we need from you is your unity. There were people in your family tree that was slaves. That's right. They was brought to America on a slave ship called Jesus. They was brought to America on a slave ship called John the Baptist. They was brought to America on a slave ship called the Grace of God. When our ancestors was brought up on the deck of the ship called Jesus, in shackles, in chains. And the slaves looked out over the physical terrain of America, and far as the eye could see was nothing but wilderness and trees, not knowing that they were brought to America to build the white man's heaven. And they built America. This is the white man's heaven, and was built off the backs of our ancestors. And our ancestors never received a payday. Do you know that it was against the law for slaves to own property? That's right. They couldn't pass any generational wealth to you. Today, many of our people are penniless, broke, hungry and out of doors, because there was a law that prevented them from owning wealth, owning property. So they couldn't pass it to us, and today we are broke. So you and I have a duty and a responsibility to stand up and demand justice on their behalf. Right. You got to do it. No spirit God gonna do it. Jesus is not gonna do it. You got to do it. And if you don't do it, let me tell you something. You will betray the legacy of your ancestors. Take it or let it alone. That's what's going to take place. Now you got to sleep with that. You got to sleep with that, and you didn't make it here all by yourself. I want you to know that you're standing on your ancestors' shoulders. They paid the price. They paid the way for you and me. So we're only asking you to unite under the umbrella of the Afro-descendant government. In the 1860s, President Andrew Johnson rescinded the 40-acre and a mule provision. Look at that. Took it back. Took it back. Gave it to our ancestors and then took it back. 70 years before the Civil Rights Movement, Callie House tried unsuccessfully to get reparations for former slaves in a pension based on those offered to Union soldiers. But she was put in prison on trumped up charges. This is a black woman who wanted reparations for our people, wanted pension for those soldiers that fought in the Civil War. The white man took her and locked her up in prison. In 1989, Congressman John Conyers introduced the H.R. 40 bill in Congress to establish a commission to examine the institution of slavery, to make recommendations to Congress on appropriate remedies for other purposes. The U.S. government used a technique called committee strangulation to kill the bill. Where's your government, black man? Where's your reparations? I happened to go to a reparations meeting in Washington, and Congressman John Conyers and Sir Hilary Beckel was at that meeting. And I was in a position to place the blueprint in the hand of Congressman John Conyers, and I told him that the blueprint, this letter is from the Honorable Silis Muhammad. And he stopped dead in his tracks. He said, "Silis Muhammad?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "I also have a copy for President Obama." And he called his assistant forward and told her to make sure that President Obama get a copy of the blueprint. Sir Henry Beckles, the chairman of CARICOM, the Caribbean countries who are fighting for reparations, he also received a copy of the blueprint. "I've heard of Silis Muhammad," said Sir Henry Beckles. Sir Henry Beckles' niece also received a copy of the blueprint. So Congress has it. They have the blueprint. And it's just a matter of time. In 2015, President Obama earmarked $12 million, your hard-earned tax dollars, to Holocaust survivors. I didn't hear any outcry coming from Congress, your representatives. I didn't hear that. But you hear my voice today and say, President Obama, I disapprove, I disagree with you taking black people, slave descendants, hard-earned tax dollars, giving it to the Holocaust survivors. That doesn't make any sense, because those crimes, the atrocities, happened on Germany's soil. Hitler is responsible for that.
That's right.
Not you, not black people.
Right.
Germany is responsible for that. Right. And your president, your black president, the one that you voted for, the one that you cried for, took your hard-earned tax dollars now and gave it to another people, and you don't say nothing. That's wrong. That's unjust. That's unfair. But a voice is coming from the Afro-descended government correcting President Barack Obama, America's first black president, your sacred cow. Don't touch him. That's our baby. Don't touch him.
That's right.
But let me say this, I'm going to touch him. When he take your hard-earned tax dollars, I have something to say about that. I am proud to announce that the Honorable Silis Muhammad placed us in a unique position to receive reparations. Why don't you give him a round of applause for that? Thomas Jefferson said, every man and every body of men on earth possesses the right of self-government. A government has been established to support you, support Afro-descendants, so that you will receive justice. No other human being in the United States government has done what the Honorable Silis Muhammad has done. It may seem insignificant because you don't see him. It may seem insignificant, but I tell you the truth. He has done a great work. He has done so much for our people, and he does the work, and he does it quietly. He don't put on no red coat and say, see me. He is not that kind of man. But I'll say this to you, and I'm almost finished because I'm on time constraint. In 1951, 23 Jewish organizations came together in New York at the Material Claims Conference against Germany. Their objective, their aim, their purpose was to obtain reparations for Holocaust survivors. As a result of them coming together, they received $60 billion in reparations.
That's right.
As a result of us being divided and confused, we have not received one penny. Take it or let it alone. That is the living truth. So now the question is, are we going to unite? What are we going to do? The Jews did it. They united and they received the reparations. What are we going to do? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if we can unite and march throughout the North and South and to the seat of government, why cannot we unite and ask the congressman and the president who robbed and deceived us for the past 100 years up from slavery for something concrete? Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not talking about civil rights. He said, ask them for something concrete. Well, concrete is a substance, a hard substance, right? It holds up buildings, right? It's strong, right? So we need something concrete. And that concrete is reparations. That will be the foundation, and it will hold and sustain the Afro-descendant government. And that's what we need. There were 4 major marches on Washington. Did you receive reparations?
No.
No, you didn't receive reparations. You had unity among black people, but they didn't demand reparations when they came to Washington. I've been there. I witnessed each one of them. I didn't attend, but I witnessed. And they didn't receive reparations. Do they really have the keys? Do they really know? No, sir. They walk like they know, talk like they know, but they really don't know if you examine them closely. In 2003, and I'm almost finished. In 2003, in this city, activists united with Minister Farrakhan on reparations. And I've had this newspaper ever since 2003.
Yes, sir.
Well, look at all of these activists. But where's your reparations? Because they didn't have a government. The Honorable Silis Muhammad got the key, and he is the man. All the rest of the leaders, they can trot on out there. You can have 20 more million man marches.
Yes, sir.
But if you don't have a government, it's an exercise in futility. Come on home. Come on under the umbrella of the Afro-descendant government.